to know that the only reality here, the only speaker, the only listener, the only reality is that originating cause. Listening, speaking through each of us as we agree and open to the realization of that truth. So I am knowing that we are profoundly blessed by this morning, that we receive richness far beyond what we anticipated. And I've already anticipated something profound and beautiful. So this I know, that we live, move, have our being in that originating cause. And when we live from that place, we find our way through. Grace is revealed, truth is revealed, and we are living that presence. And so it is.
So it is.
So it is.
Oh, I have an unexpected and profound pleasure that is so uh, moving to me because I've had the opportunity to know this man from the beginning of his ministry.
Hmm.
And in the meantime, he has acquired a history in so many fields prior to that and through all of his work and ministry. But um, I have known James from the beginning of his journey in the teachings, and I'm honored to be reconnected. His heart print was upon me from my first awareness of him because this man just exudes presence. He exudes enthusiasm. He exudes love and the very heart of everything that we're here to be about. He's an extraordinary being, and he's devoted to artistry. I love that word because we're all artists and we're all here to paint an incredible canvas and create heart prints upon one another so that when people think of us, the first thing that happens is they smile. Well, when I was asked to introduce James, it was more than a smile. It was like, oh my God, I know this man and he is so beautiful. And I'm so happy to reconnect. And so I'm going to give a brief history because it would take the hour to really cover what this man has done. But he lives in Los Angeles. He's the spiritual director of two New Thought centers, the founding spiritual director of Global Truth Center and spiritual director for Oneness Living Spirituality in Palm Desert. He's an actor in the deepest sense of many, many roles that he's played on Broadway and West Side Story, toured the country as Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar. He's written for television and film. He has 3 original musicals published for what he has, and he's written the book and the music and the lyrics. Oh my God. and and he and his husband Keith Bailey have been together for over 33 years and in marriage union for 30 years. Their son William is attending Texas State University and majoring in screenwriting, directing and screenwriting. And their daughter Nora, Will's twin sister, made her transition in 2018 in a fatal car crash. And James's newest book, 5 Questions, emerged out of the impact and depth of the darkness from that loss. And she still, Nora, is providing, and I so can know this, providing her heart print upon them from the other side and giving guidance and direction from that holy place. So out of this, there are 5 questions that if you're willing to address them, they can take you to new awareness of your soul and your purpose. So I am so honored beyond words to introduce Dr. James Mellon.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Dr. Charles. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Everybody good with the sound? You can hear me well? I am currently in Morristown, New Jersey on a family trip. So I'm coming to you from Morristown, New Jersey, and I don't know the ambiance sounds. So we'll see if some crows come by. Well, we'll just accept them. Um, Thank you, Charles, for that beautiful introduction. Yes, it's true. I started out my career as an actor. I moved to New York when I was 20 years old, right as my mother passed away. I was in college, my mother passed away, and I instantly decided that I was no longer interested in getting a degree in psychology, but going to New York and chasing my passions. And within a couple of years, and my family was very like, why do you think you can go to New York and like succeed? There are people with talent that go there. Not particularly supportive, my family. And I was like, well, I have talent. You just don't want to seem to recognize it. And so I moved to New York. So that was like my new thought beginnings. I get to decide what I have and don't have. So I moved to New York, and within 5 years, I was starring in West Side Story on Broadway. And yes, I did dance well enough to do that, and I sang well enough and acted well enough. So I think right then and there, I proved to myself that there was a lot more than just what people tell you. So I really think that was the beginning. And actually, the beginning was meeting Eric Butterworth and starting my journey in Unity, studying with him and going to his classes. And so it was pretty great. And my journey as an actor and as a writer, as a director, took me all the way through to Los Angeles when I sat in the audience of Dr. David Walker and listening to. How many of you know David Walker? Know who that is? Okay, so he was the president for a long time of Religious Science International, which merged into CSL, Centers for Spiritual Living, which used to be the organization I was a part of. And as soon as I heard that, I heard him speak the truth in a humorous, funny way. I was hooked. And all of a sudden, this trajectory of, I mean, I was signed with CAA, which is the top entertainment agency, as a writer, director, actor. I mean, I had what most actors want: amazing representation, a great history. And, but then all of a sudden, I was like, I'm not feeling fulfilled. And my poor husband of, yes, 30 years married, 33 years together. My poor husband was like, what do you mean you're leaving entertainment to become a minister? He said, you're going to ruin every Sunday for the rest of our lives. That was his takeaway from me becoming a minister. And I said, yeah, I just feel like it's what I have to do. And so I did it. But I didn't think I was giving up entertainment, to be clear. I decided I could do it all. Even though Dr. Walker said you can't, Dr. Moira Fox said I could. All the My mentors were coming in and saying, "Look, you can't do both. Make a decision. You're either going to be a minister or an entertainer or an actor." I went, "Nah, I'm not buying that. I believe you can have it all." And so I created what then was called the NoHo Arts Center for New Thought, which turned into the Global Truth Center, which is the center I am the founder of. But I opened it in a theater and opened a theater company and wrote and directed musicals and plays while we had church on Sundays. And it created the most amazing artistic community because people would come in to do parts in shows and then go, what do you do on Sundays? Come to church. And suddenly we had this enormous artistic community of actors, writers, directors, press agents. It was just set designers, costume designers, and we had this amazing arts community that was an RSI church. So that kind of started me understanding that I don't take no as a way of life, that it really is important for me to see yes in everything and to understand that if I see it, if I understand it, then I can create it. I can be it. So our theme this month at the Global Truth Center and uh, Palm Desert, I love, Charles, that you said oneness, living spiritually, because that's a name we're toying with. But CSL Palm Desert just left CSL. And so we're in the process of rebranding and trying to figure out what we're going to call ourselves. Right now we are toying with oneness, living spiritually. So we'll see how that goes. But what I've realized is that this idea of new beginnings, um, and I do want to talk about my book, obviously, and my daughter, but the idea of new beginnings, which is I pick a theme every month for our centers to move by. I've just flown home to Philadelphia after a year and a half of COVID to finally see relatives that I haven't seen in a long time, and certainly to deal with some that have passed. A woman who was like my mother passed a year ago, and I'm actually sitting in her daughter's house right now. And but coming home for me, this idea of new beginnings, I flew into Philadelphia this past Monday, and I immediately had dinner with two very old friends, one that I grew up with from the age of 6, and the other one that my best friend from high school. And they've never left Philadelphia. They're still living in the same home they were living in when they were 6. And I was shocked by something very profound. I have traveled the world and back again, and now I'm sitting in Philadelphia. Not only that, I went into my childhood home because the woman that owns the home knew I was coming and said, "Please come in and just look at your old where you used to live." When I was 6, I am 66. So I went into my old home and I'm walking through it thinking, I don't have a visceral reaction to this. I just recognize the walls, the space. I recognize the staircase that I fell down at 6 and got black eyes. That I remembered. And and my friends, they haven't gone anywhere in those 60 years. But I realized that what was really fascinating to me was that I have grown so much, and yet I'm the same person. I'm still the 6-year-old that fell down the stairs. I'm still all of that and more. But what I realize on a quantum level is I was all that then. And in the quantum field of time and space, there is no time and space. So, in fact, everything I think I become, I already was, and everything I am now, I will still become. So, when I realize that in this quantum field of time and energy, everything just seems to mesh together into this beautiful new beginning. I can take all that I was and all that I am, put it together as one thing, and start my life in this next new beginning, whatever that will be, every single day. So in 2018, uh, it was Thanksgiving weekend, and we had had the most amazing weekend. And my husband and I really pride ourselves in the fact that we were one of the first couples that we knew that got married ourselves, because no one would marry us 30 years ago, and then married ourselves legally. Then we got married legally when Obama changed that ruling, and had children 22 years ago, which at the time was not something a lot of the gay and lesbian community was really doing. They had children from maybe other relationships, but we literally went and decided to have children. And we ended up having twins, a boy and a girl. Amazing, amazing children. So here we are in 2018, and they just turned 19. Amazing Thanksgiving weekend. All of our friends. It was literally the best Thanksgiving I could remember. And that was Thursday. And then on Friday, my kids went up to the lake to spend time with their mother. And they came back on Sunday morning because Nora always sang with me at church. So we had a beautiful post-Thanksgiving Sunday service, and Nora and I sang the whole service together. Then we spent the day at home, and Nora was not in the best of moods. She was like, she had to go back to UCLA that night, and it was her freshman year, full scholarship to UCLA for singing, dancing, acting. She's amazing talent. That summer, she was cast in Mamma Mia to play Meryl Streep, to be the star of Mamma Mia, the sequel. And not cast in it. She was, I don't know, she was on a veil. She was their choice, but we knew that there was someone in the wings, a star, that that if the star took it, the star got it. If the star didn't take it, Nora was going to get her first starring role in a huge movie. And as it turned out, Lily James accepted the part, And for those of you that have seen Mamma Mia, the sequel, she was great. Nora and I went to see it together, and Nora was like, if I lose a part, this is not so bad to lose it to that woman. So she was very good about it. But she had already had that happen. And now she's at UCLA where she literally does not like the curriculum. She's like, Dad, they're talking to me like I'm an idiot. I really hate this. And so we came to an agreement that day, that Sunday, the 25th of November, that I was okay if she left school at the end of the semester, which was about 3 weeks later. I said, you got to finish the 3 weeks, please. Just finish the 3 weeks and then be done and go out and start auditioning because I knew she'd hit it instantly. And that was good. But then she also told me she was having dinner with a guy that I did not like who treated her really badly. She says, now I'm just having dinner with him to tell him we have to end this. I was like, all right, that works. She went out to dinner and never came back. She had her accident that night and she left me that night. It took 5 days, actually. It took 5 days for her to finally transition. And I had written a book called The Five Questions. And that book was based on a workshop I taught in Las Vegas. Actually, it was at Casa de Maria when I first wrote it because I have been a procrastinator. Any fellow procrastinators here? Because I have been. Okay, thank you, John. At least one of you, or June. Okay, thank you, June. So, okay, Angelo? No, Angelo, you are not a procrastinator. I'm sorry. So, I had procrastinated and we're just about to go into this workshop, and my assistant turned to me and said, so, what's the workshop? I said, I don't know. Who's running it? And she went, it's your workshop. I was like, what? She goes, you're the first workshop of the weekend. I was like, what? She said, yeah, you know that. I told you, you are the first workshop. I was like, I don't have a workshop prepared. I have nothing prepared. She goes, oh my God. So I went and I sat under an oak tree at Casa de Maria. And I just was like, okay, Spirit, bring it forth. What is this workshop that I'm now going to lead? And all of a sudden, these five questions dumped right onto me, just came up in order. I wrote them out, walked into the room as though I had prepared this for months and months, and led this workshop. And people were crying and moved, and these five questions were like, they became the theme of the whole weekend. Then I took it to Vegas. I thought, it's a good workshop. I taught it in Vegas, and that's when I really started to feel the power behind these five questions. So I've done the five question workshop all over the place. And then I wrote the book. But when I wrote the book, when I finished it, I was getting feedback from the people that I trusted. And I kept getting the same feedback. We wait too long for the five questions, you're not, whatever they were giving me the feedback. So I gave it to Nora. I said, Nora, read this. I'm getting feedback from all these old people. I need a young person's perspective. Little not the greatest thinking on my part. Like, oh, your opinions don't matter. You're my age. What do you know? So I gave it, which we all are pretty much on this call, although some of you are much younger than me. So I gave it to Nora. She read it, gave me the same freaking feedback as everybody else. And I was like, all right, I will go rewrite this. That was only 2 weeks before she passed. And 2 weeks later, when she passed, I was in the middle of a deal with Netflix. They were doing my show called Sissy Boy as a TV series, and I had all these balls in the air, and they just all came falling to the ground. And not that this has to be about grief, but I have learned a great deal about grief. And one of the things I've learned about grief is that it's not something you work through. It's something you navigate. And I have been navigating grief now for it's coming on 3 years. And I understand now that the first 2 years as I navigated grief, I actually was in a bit of shock, a bit of a post-traumatic shock that I didn't realize. But my career kept expanding. I did put down the Sissy Boy thing for Netflix, which I'm now getting back into, and I put down the book. Until one night, while I was sleeping, I woke up and I had this thought, which I feel like Nora put in my head, which is take the 5 days it took Nora to leave and use the five questions to navigate those 5 days in order to help people understand how they can navigate anything with these five questions. And so I decided to write that book, and I did. And revisiting those 5 days was very difficult for me. But I ended up, it ended up flowing out of me. And even the moment, the first question is this: why am I here? That's question number one. Why am I here? For instance, why am I here in New Jersey on this call, in this conference? Why did I end up in New Jersey to do this? It's a question that I ask, and then I just let whatever comes forward. Why am I here? Why am I here as I'm about to turn 67, running two centers when most ministers are retiring and going on to their next journey? But I've decided to take over two centers simultaneously. Why am I here? Why am I here? So I just keep asking that question. And I can tell you that when I got the phone call that Nora was in an accident, I instantly went to Emma Curtis Hopkins. There is one life. That life is God's life. That life is Nora's life now. And I said it over and over and over as I drove to the hospital. Over. There is one life. That life is God's life. That life is Nora's life now. Over and over and over. It's all I could think of to do. And I got to the hospital, and I was the only one. My husband was way out in Long Beach. The two mothers I didn't call yet because I didn't want that. They're a little exhaustive with their energy. So I thought, let me just assess this out, see how it is. And when I walked in and saw my daughter laying there completely in a coma, um, the question popped into my head: why am I here? Why are we here now? You just told me you didn't want to go back to college, and I said it was okay. You were just saying goodbye to someone that wasn't treating you well. Why is this? Why are we here now? So that question works for me every time. Whenever anything's going on in my life, I ask myself, why am I here? If a betrayal shows up, which recently happened, I'm like, why am I here? If Kevin and I are having difficulty, I'm like, why am I here? And it's not like, how did I get here? That's not the question. How did I get here? It's, why am I here? You know, that's the important thing, to allow spirit to enlighten me on why I am at this point in my life where I am. And I would imagine you all have something in your life that you could look at and say, why am I here? Why am I here experiencing this right now? Why am I here at this point in my life? Why is Charles in Montana right now? What? Why? Why am I why am I in New Jersey? Why do I live in Los Angeles instead of Philadelphia where all my family is? Actually, I have a good answer to that question. Having been here for this whole week, I'm pretty good on why I'm in Los Angeles. But that's a very important question. Why am I here? And I asked that question that whole first day, into the night and into the morning, because the first thing the doctor said to me was, there is no hope. She's not coming back. And I said, I refuse to believe that. And I actually believe she's here right now, hearing everything we're saying. So please be respectful of her choices. Which, this doctor, this neurosurgeon was like, okay, so what do you want me to do? I said, I need you to go into surgery and fix whatever's going on, and then let's see what happens. So why am I here? Probably the reason I was there and not any of the other three parents is because of my spiritual practice. It's because I know who I am. It's because I know who she is. And it's because I did not lean into the relative. I stayed in the absolute. There is one life. That life is God's life. That life is Nora's life now. That life is my life now. Everything else is peripheral. So why was I there? Pretty clear I was the one that needed to be there to handle this. So that was question number one. And the news kept getting grimmer and grimmer and grimmer. And then the second question is, what wants to know me? Now, I want you to pay attention to the way that question is posed. What wants to know me? Not what should I know in this situation, but in a quantum understanding of ideas and creativity constantly moving. In the Elizabeth Gilbert book, Big Magic, she talks about it, how there is constant movement of energy and creativity, and it is ours at all times, 100% of it. However, you got to pick it. You got to choose, which one do you want? Which idea is yours? Which one are you going to make, you're going to fulfill? Because if you don't, it'll move over to Maureen Bishop and you get to take it. That's how it works. So the second question, what wants to know me, was after everything was said to me, and my husband was there, and my son flew back in from Texas, which he had just flown back home from Thanksgiving. What wants to know me in the midst of doctors and nurses and family and crying and anxiety? What wants to know me here? Because I'm not just going to take the easy way out and collapse into my emotions. What wants to know me? And when you ask that question and you are willing to surrender to it, what wants to know me, it is amazing how much comes at you. You just have to be willing to listen, really listen to what's going on. And what of this universal sphere of pure intelligence wants to illuminate you in this moment. But you know what you have to do? You have to be willing to take your mind off the relative. You either are going to be reactionary to the relative or causal to what wants to happen here, right? What wants to know me. So I must be willing to listen to what wants to be cause in my life. So that was the second day, and that was the second question. What wants to know me? And I'm asking these questions throughout these days just to myself. I didn't bring it up to anyone else. Everyone needed to do their own grieving and their own journey on this. I was spending most of my time dealing with my son, trying to help him through this because I was losing a daughter, but he was losing his best friend, his twin. And I recognized that. And frankly, that ability to focus on his needs was so helpful to me, so protective of my own emotional well being and to my husband, too. And so when I got to the third question, that's when it was very difficult. Because the third question is, what wants me to release it? So it's why am I here? What wants to know me? What wants me to release it? And I think the reason the question came to me posed that way, what wants me to release it? And frankly, I didn't even understand it then. But this past year, Angelo knows this, I taught a 40-week course called Advanced Consciousness, which was a quantum level course. And it was 40 weeks with 20 amazing ministers and practitioners, all of them going towards their doctorate or their master's in consciousness studies at the Emerson Institute. And we took today's cutting edge quantum books and tore them apart. In fact, the motto of our class was question everything. Everything you think you believe about science of mind, everything you believe from Ernest Holmes, Eric Butterworth, everything you think you believe, it was called question everything. And I have one student, her name is Reverend Tiffany Milne, and I asked her at the end, somebody said, so what did you get out of this course? She goes, what I really got out of this course was that the answer to everything is one little syllable. That was her answer to the entire 40 weeks. It's like, you ask me anything, I'm going to go, nah, because I question everything now. And when I think I know something, I realize I'm stuck in a box. So it was an amazing, amazing, amazing journey. But what I understand now is that when I ask the question, what wants me to release it, it's because everything is alive, everything is energy, everything is creative. And so even the negative crap of my life that is still living inside of me wants to be released by me so that it can become something greater, so it can expand. So when I say what wants me to release it, I'm actually acknowledging that there are things I'm holding on to that do not serve me, but it's not that they're bad or that they're negative. It's that I have taken them and created this around them. They want to be released to go back to the pure energy that they are and not to continue as the energy I've turned them into. So that's where that came from. What wants me to release it? And I have to say, being in an ICU unit, a private unit just for Nora, and looking at her and asking that question, I was told instantly. I could hear her saying, Dad, you got to let me go. Because she had just said it to me in our conversation about UCLA. You got to let me go and do what I want to do, and college isn't it. I get that I have a full scholarship to UCLA. I get what a parent must feel when a child says, I think I want to throw this away. And she knew to ask me because I was the one that was going to have to convince the other three parents that this was the right road for her. So what wants me to release it? And I could hear Nora saying to me, you got to release me. You can't keep me here. There was no choice to keep her there. It really wasn't. Um, so that was quite profound and difficult, very difficult. I fought it on and off. That was day 3. I just kept fighting it on and off. And they gave us those 5 days. And I just thought, I got to tell you that the meaning of the word 5. Now I know you're going to see it upside down, but I have a tattoo of a 5 on my arm, if you can all see it. I think it's upside down. I can't do my hand to there. Wait, yes I can. Hold on. There. There's the 5. And it says remember underneath it. So since Nora was a baby, every single night I gave her 5 kisses to send her off to sleep. And it kind of got obnoxious to our friends and all because as she got older, she couldn't go to sleep without 5 questions, without 5 kisses. She would call me from wherever she was and she goes, I need those 5 kisses. And I'd be like, okay, there you go, sleep tight. This went on forever. Even the morning of her accident, when I got to church, I was running a little late, procrastinating, probably at home. And I got to church a little bit late, and all the teens were outside, and she literally jumped on my back, knocked me to the ground. I was like, are you crazy? I'm dressed for church. And she goes, I need my 5 kisses. I'll never forget that was our 5. But it was interesting, these 5 kisses, because we'd both decided to get a tattoo of the 5. And there were 5 questions, which I didn't ask for. They just came to me. So the 5 has always been a big number for us. And and then 5 days it took her to pass. And I always think to myself, she knew I needed 5 days, at least 5 days, to be able to process this. Or if you're in Canada, process this. So, question number 4. What is mine to do right now? What is mine to do right now? This isn't what is mine to do in the world. Let's get our big purposes, purpose-driven lives. I can't believe I just quoted Rick Warren, but get our purposes out of the way. It's not about that. Thomas Troward says our only purpose in life is to enjoy life. The rest is just the, extraneous stuff. So, what is mine to do right now? Like right now, what's mine to do is talk to you guys. That's what's mine to do. I made that decision. I agreed to that. So here I am talking. You made a decision to come and chat and listen and converse. So what is mine to do right now? If I can stay in the present moment and be immediate with this, I'm always going to have the right answer. I'm always going to have the right answer if I listen. So what is mine to do right now? And on that 4th day, a lot came at me. People were not able to focus, really. The decision had to be made to let Nora go. The decision had to be made about her organs and all sorts of things that no parent should ever have to think about. Um, I think parents having to say goodbye to their children is one of the worst things I could ever imagine for myself. I always thought they'd have to say goodbye to me and take care of me till I was ready to go. So, what is mine to do right now? That that really sobered me up. I was like, well, it's inevitable. I know the answer to this. So I started talking to doctors and nurses and handling things and calling meetings with the other 3 parents and my son. And we made our decision. The 5th question is a surprising question, but it's this. Do I know how great I am? Do I know how great I am? My vision statement at the Global Truth Center and now in Palm Desert is love only, forgive everything, remember who you are. with remembering who you are being the most important. Because if you do, you're going to love only and you're going to forgive everything. So love only, forgive everything, remember who you are. Do I know how great I am? I had a jog this morning with my cousin, and she was explaining to me a Rumi quote. And I said, "Yeah, but you don't seem to know the Rumi quote that makes the most difference in what you're telling me, which is you are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop." And she went, "He said that?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "And that is the truth." And she said, "That's going to be difficult. I'm going to have to work on that because I don't see myself as the whole ocean in a drop. I see myself as a little drop of the ocean." She and I were raised very Catholic. She's not Catholic anymore, but I said to her, I said, "You're still holding on to that Catholic stuff, just to tell you, because I know that'll piss you off enough to get you to really contemplate that it's not the case." And she did. She went, "Well, you're right. I got to think about this." So do I know how great I am? On the final day, when we had to say goodbye to Nora, I had to come to terms with all that I saw as Nora's life coming forward. I saw her Oscar. I saw her Tony Award. She did too, by the way. She kept telling me that she'd get them before me, um, which was probably going to be the case. And I had to let go of all that. And I suddenly realized that's not her greatness. Just because she's an amazing singer, an amazing dancer, and quite an amazing actress, and so 5'9" of blonde hair, blue-eyed gorgeousness, just because she's all of that, that wasn't her greatness. Her greatness was underneath it all matched who she was as a being. Her loving nature, her kindness, her friendships with all of her friends. And I had to make clear to myself, do I know how great she is? And do I recognize that this body that we're letting go of doesn't diminish her greatness one iota? And that was difficult. That was very hard to do. But we did, and we let go. And then somebody wrote something on Facebook. So those are the 5 questions. I'll get to the Facebook. 5 questions. Why am I here? What wants to know me? What wants me to release it? What is mine to do right now? And do I know how great I am? So that Friday, that was Sunday through Thursday. So the accident was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On Friday, somebody wrote on Facebook, and you're going to all be horrified that somebody would actually write this on my Facebook page, but somebody wrote on my Facebook page, and I don't think they meant it the way many took it because there were so many reactions to it. They said, "I guess you're going to really have to rethink your philosophy that your life is unfolding perfectly after this." And the reaction from the congregation and all was not good. People were like horrified that someone would write that on my Facebook page. But you know what? I do believe my life is unfolding perfectly. And that note on my Facebook page was exactly what I needed to get back up on stage that very Sunday and never miss a Sunday service. Because I was planning on taking a sabbatical and just dealing with what I was feeling. And that I was like, I have to answer this from the pulpit. So I got back up on stage. I have amazing friends and practitioners and everybody that was running the center with me who kept everybody away so I didn't have to deal with people all asking me or telling me how sorry they were because I didn't want that energy. But I got up on stage and I answered that person's question. And I never looked back and I just kept my ministry going forward every week. I didn't really take too much time off. I didn't take any time off from Sundays. But I got up and I said, you know what? My philosophy, my belief in this teaching, in what Ernest Holmes teaches, in what I know to be the truth, has not shifted or been challenged at all. If anything, it has strengthened me in my resolve. And although I know that there is a part of me that does not believe Nora's death was life unfolding perfectly, that believes that on some level, there's a deeper level that knows that her life has unfolded perfectly. And who am I to denigrate her life by saying that was an accident, that should have never happened? Because it was her time. And I don't mean her time as in some pre-designed thing, but I do believe life unfolds perfectly. That was a very hard talk to give that Sunday because I was giving it through tears and all, but I meant it and I still mean it. And this past week, a very close friend of mine lost their daughter. She was 29 years old, and she ended her own life. And I was talking to this person on the phone, and I was saying everything that I knew to be true. And I did that. I said everything I knew to be true. I got off the phone, and I'm sitting in my office, which was Nora's bedroom. It's now my office. I got off the phone, and I was so angry, literally angry. I got off the phone and I went, I know that's all true, and it's not making me feel good. I am so pissed off that you're not here. I am so angry. There's a part of me, I'm finally getting in touch with it, that's so angry that I was left behind. And I was like, you know what, Nora? You need to reach out and contact me, and I don't want to hear that you're dead. Then that's not an excuse anymore. I said, I am done. You need to reach out and talk to me. And Kevin walked into the office. He goes, what are you screaming about? I was like, um, yeah, I was trying to explain. I said, I was talking to Nora. He goes, well, why are you yelling at her? I said, because I'm tired of her not reaching out. I said, I'm done. I see fives everywhere, and I get it. That's our thing. I said, but I need her to really reach out. This is an absolute true story, folks. That was last Tuesday. On Wednesday morning, I'm sitting in my office. The phone rings, and it's this beautiful practitioner from Philadelphia, of all places, who I haven't spoken to in 6 years, named Mari Avicoli. Mari calls me, and I go, hi, Mari, everything okay? She goes, yes, yes. I said, you don't sound okay. She goes, well, I feel weird calling you for this. I said, it's okay, what? And she said, I woke up in the middle of the night last night having a dream about Nora. I said, okay. She goes, yeah, she was in some show and she was tap dancing and singing and blah, blah, blah. She goes, and then all of a sudden we were sitting under a tree. And she looked right at me and she said, Mari, you need to call my father and tell him I'm okay. Tell him I'm sorry I left so soon, but I had other things that took me to where I needed to be, and I'm very happy. And Mari says, I looked at her and I went, I haven't talked to your dad in 6 years. He's going to think I'm crazy. And she said, according to Mari, no, he's going to know why you're calling him. She's telling me all of this. I've got goosebumps everywhere. I'm sobbing. And she's like, I'm so sorry, James. I know that I taught her for 2 years practitioner studies. She goes, I know how you feel about channeling. I know how you feel about hearing from the other side. I know that you don't teach that. And I went, I don't teach it, but I also don't question it. I said, it's not part of what I'm really interested in teaching. I said, but I no longer question it or say it's not true. And I didn't tell her until the next day. I had to call her back and go, can I just tell you what just happened? And I told her, and I walked into the other room and told Kevin, and Kevin just burst into tears. And he looked at me and he went, can you stop yelling at her now? And I was like, yes, I can. Because frankly, I don't want any more calls like that because it shocked me. It just shocked me. Um, So I am a bit more of a believer now in understanding how powerful our minds are, even more powerful than I could have imagined. And it's interesting, Charles said it in his opening prayer or in his opening discussion. We talk about that thin veil between here and there. He talked about it when he talked about Nora, that she still speaks to us. I think that veil is self-imposed. I think that we create those veils, walls, blockages, boundaries. And I think the minute we're open, wide open, to recognizing that in the quantum field of pure energy, it's all available. That's when it shows up. So, 5 questions, 1,000 billion answers to those 5 questions, all answered based on how each one of you is open and surrendering to whatever that question will bring. And I invite you at any moment when life presents you a challenge, pull out those 5 questions and just work them and see what happens. So they've asked me to finish 15 minutes early so that you can all ask questions and we can all talk, right, Dr. Charles?
Yes.
So, so do you have anything you want to say, Charles, before we open this up to?
Oh, I am so moved. And I concur. I've never really taught channeling, but I totally know that there's only one spirit, one mind. We're all connected. And
Mhm.
so we all receive from that presence, And that's really what it is, that presence. And your 5 questions are really about addressing presence and the present. Why am I here in this hour, this moment? So I am so blown away, first of all, by you
Mm.
and your depth and courage and vulnerability. And that I loved that when you shared, the moment you think you're in a box, get out.
Get out.
So, yeah, so thank you. And I'm sure other people would love to make comment and input to honor your heart and soul this moment.
I would love to hear from any of you or ask me anything you want to ask me.
There's that Sherry.
Yeah,
You're-
Oh wait, you're
there we
speaking.
go. I want to tell you that I absolutely loved every word you said, and what I heard. I lead a monthly visioning team, and that's what I heard happening in your 5 questions was visioning. And 30 years ago, I lost my son at 21.
Oh,
So I understand exactly what you're saying, but he took his own life. And so the questions were a little different, but it's the same process no matter what the situation is. Those 5 questions always work, and the words don't matter. I mean, we ask the question, we don't even have to say the questions out loud. It happens, when we shift into presence, when we let go of the illusion of separation. That's the veil, the illusion of separation. When we let go of the illusion of separation, you just, I feel like you're just walking us down the road. It's wonderful.
yep.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh my God, what is your son's name?
His name was Joey.
Joey. Okay, I just wanted to know his name. Great. And it
and
is
and
visioning.
uh, and it is, and I'll tell you a sort of a coincidence, though I frankly don't believe in the concept of coincidence. My
Right.
final presentation in ministerial school in homiletics was a talk called Love and Life Never End, and it was about dealing with the suicide of my son. And everything you said was in it.
Oh, that's great.
That was, I mean, it's like you're channeling me. I'm channeling you. I don't know what's happening. There's only one mind, and we're both in it.
Well,
We're all in it.
yeah, I am you, you are me, so yeah, why not?
There you go. The ocean
I
in a
would
drop.
love to have your red hair.
L'Oreal Mega Red. They've discontinued it, so I had to go to a different brand. I'm
Oh,
71 in it,
you look
so
great.
bottle hair.
Cool. Who else? Anybody? Yes, Carolyn.
I want to start by thanking you for sharing Nora with us. Um, I just get tears. I can feel her presence. I can feel how proud she is of you and how much power of that is hers that flows through you so that we all get to experience her in a beautiful way.
Thank you.
And thank you also for sharing about Joy. I'm blessed with 2 children of my own, 3 from my husband, and 10 grandchildren between us, plus a couple of bonus children that we got thrown in there, and the grandchildren. And the thought of losing any one of them is something to face that I can't imagine. And these 5 questions, I mean, I did a message for our center on how we can apply principles and laws of Ernest Holmes to something as daunting as climate change. And I don't know that facing climate change is as hard as facing the loss of a child,
Mm.
And so to take these these principles, these questions, and to know that there's no big or little, and we can apply these to navigate through these times, these, you know, through any challenging time, and recognize that the blessing, to realize, to become the blessing within the challenge. And
Yes.
so, man, this is powerful. And thank you for being open to receiving and to sharing this. And it's just made all the difference for me. I get to take this with me every day for the rest of my life. And I too am 66 years old. It was a doggone good year.
Wasn't it? Yeah, for ministers apparently.
Well, I'm not a minister, even though I gave a message. I'm a student at Holmes Institute working on my
Oh.
master's in consciousness studies.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, it's amazing. What a great journey. I'm thankful, so thankful to do that. And when I heard you at the ANTN retreat and loved you then. And so when I was supposed to be here, like 2 minutes before I logged on, I saw this in my email, and I'm like, oh, that's where I'm supposed to be. I knew the answer to question 1. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carolyn. Really.
We can do
Anybody?
a
Yeah.
couple more, maybe 2 more.
Michael?
First of all, thank you, and thank you for your sharing. And I appreciated everything you said, with the exception of your Philadelphia, New Jersey comparison to LA.
Oh no, are you out here? Are you in Philly?
I was born in Philly. I'm in South Jersey now. So and
Whereabouts? I'm in South Jersey.
I'm in Voorhees.
I'm in Morristown.
I know exactly where you're at.
Yeah, that's so
Our
funny.
center's in Morristown.
Awesome. Oh, whose is that? Whose center is that?
Well, it's originally Reverend Carol Lawson. Reverend
Yes.
Dr. Carol Lawson. Yes. So
Cool.
I'm serving as an interim minister at the moment because she just retired. So my question, and it's completely my stuff of what I'm dealing with, because I've had people pass, is the conversation with the divine. Because many of my conversations in the area of grief are often, and I know it's foolish, but the divine, telling the divine, that's not what I want. and I do completely honor and surrender to the divine, but how is you're dealing with the not what you want? Do you have anything similar in that? Because I like the questions and I certainly plan on working them, but
Yeah. You know, it's funny because hmm, I have a different take on the divine, which I think I want to share with you. So my idea of the divine is not that there's, and I don't think you think this either, that there's something separate from me. So it's me. It's what I am. And when I look at the Rumi quote, I'm the entire ocean in a drop. I think sometimes we morph ourselves into a smaller version of the divine, forgetting that we are the entire ocean. And that when I can go back into the ocean and really fall into my oneness, I don't have that anger. When I come back to the relative world of form and I think of this world as so important and the body is so important, then I can get really upset and angry, and this is not what I wanted. I wanted to spend the rest of my years with my daughter and her children and my grandchildren. That's what I wanted, and I totally know what you mean. But when I back into understanding what spirit really is, it kind of dissipates.
it's interesting. I can very easily go into the oneness and be with these people. That's no concern. I just want to stay.
Yes.
And I know I have a life here.
Right.
So it pressures my life here, and I'm looking for solace there.
Hmm.
I can very
Well,
easily just go right into the divine, have and continued my relationships with these people that have passed that were so dear in my life.
yeah.
And they're there, we're connected. There is that oneness right there. It's
Yep.
coming back, shaking it off and saying, okay, why am I here? Well, pretty much find me here right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's my-
Well, I totally hear you. I have that happen too. It's a journey. It really is a journey and a constant expansion of these teachings. And that's why I'm so excited to be a part of the Emerson Institute now, because they give me the capacity to expand and to grow the teaching, to take Ernest Holmes, make sense out of him today, and move into tomorrow. And when I do that, when I'm able to do that, I realize it's a journey. There's still that side of me that there could be the very words that just came out of your mouth. And
Yeah.
then there's the part of me that can override that. But I'm happy with both sides. I'm happy with the anger. Look what happened to my anger last week. Poor Mari Avicoli had to wake up in the middle of the night with a dream because I was like, "That's it, I'm done. I need to hear from you." So we're powerful beings. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, Michael. And for me, I'm in the same path you are, and I feel the same things. And it's a journey, and I'm willing to just keep journeying with it.
Thank you, thank you. And it is
Yeah.
emerging as well.
Yes, totally.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Okie doke. I want to go to Bill, Reverend Dr. Bill. He's hosting a social scramble tomorrow night, and I just wanted to have him speak about that for a second.
Oh, thank you, John. Yeah, the social scramble is it's one of the ways that we get to take advantage of everybody knowing how to use Zoom finally. And so go to the ANTN website, sign up for the social scramble, click the register button. You'll get the reminders and links and so forth. It's 7:30 Eastern, I guess 4:30 Pacific time tomorrow. You come into the Zoom link and we will go through the very simple process of pairing people up in breakout rooms so that you can get to know your best friends who you've never met before and figure out what you got in common. We did it at the mini retreat last spring, and it was a huge hit. Everybody said, we didn't have enough time. We want to do it some more. At the end of 10 minutes, you come back in to the main room and we pair up again. And it's with somebody new, or you figure out what it is that you didn't cover with the first person you were matched up with in the previous one. I will put the link to register for it into the chat, but everybody is welcome. We don't ask questions about where you're from or how you came to New Thought unless you get into a breakout room and you want to cover that. It's kind of the mystery of figuring out why your paths have intersected or why they've intersected again.
Okay, great. The only other announcements I have would be early bird registration for the ANTN conference has been extended to July 31st. So it's $50 less than the full fee. And then regular registration will run until September 15th. And then following that, we have to notify Unity how many of us are going to be there and what kind of food we like and all of that. Dr. Bill, would you, oh, go ahead, June, you're muted.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend James. Every word you say is like hours and weeks worth of conversation and deep thought. I so appreciate you.
Thank you. I read your chat, by the way.
Okay. Oh, good. Thank you. Also, hi, Michael.
Yes.
We're in our CCL mode together here. And Michael is a beautiful human being.
I can tell.
I wanted to ask you if you could expand a little bit more about one of your questions, and that is what wants to be released. And I heard it differently this time. I've always thought of what needs to be released is to be let go of, which is centered on me. What do I need to let go of? But I heard it differently. It's what needs to be set free in some way.
Yep.
And that just seems like a very different look at this. And I wondered if you could talk just a moment about that.
I can, and I know we're running out of time, but I will tell you this. The question is, what wants me to release it?
Oh,
What,
okay.
but that's good. It's the same thing. What wants me to release it? And I think we spend way too much time in the pejorative of good and bad, and I try not to do that. Destructive and constructive, you know. So the idea of letting go of something, setting it free in order for it to get back to its original state of good, its original state of construction. Because it's all good, it's all God, it's all energy, it's all creativity. And then what we do with it, we get to benefit or not from what we do with it. So when I say what wants me to release it, I'm not giving it a bad connotation. I'm not putting my focus on things that I need to release because they don't work for me. It's just I can say what's not working for me so that I can let it go. I can release it to go back to its original state of pure good. So I'm actually doing something wonderful, not just for myself, but for the world. I'm not releasing the negative back into the world, or something that's, I see as not good. Especially this works with clients that I work with who have addictions. Just when we take it all down to an energetic level, I have found, and so I have noticed in some of my clients, that it's easier to release it to the good of what it is, as opposed to staying attached to it not being good. So that's why I think that's why the question came that way. I'm making sense out of it now myself because the question just came to me. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I think I'm going to meditate on it just a little bit more about the bigness that is available to whatever it is when I let go of my box that I've put it in.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, whatever it is. So I will be thinking about this. Thank you.
I think I may want to do a talk called Out of the Box.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that. Always looking for talk titles, right?
Dr. Charles, did you want to release us?
No, I do not choose
You wanna
to
keep it
release you
going?
ever. No. And resistance is futile. I will not. But I would love for Dr. James to do a closing recognition prayer with us. I would appreciate
Yes,
that. And all of you on board here, God bless you. But Dr. James?
absolutely. I invite everybody to take a deep breath and really take a deep breath and let it go. Recognizing and knowing that there is only the most magnificent energetic field of pure love. It is who I am. It is what I am. It is who each person on this call is. It is a creative force that has at its core the goodness of life, projecting itself through and as each life here in this Zoom room. I know that everything that has been said here today ripples out into a world that benefits from each person, from every path, from every journey, from all of life's intricate understandings, and it just keeps expanding, expanding, expanding. And as Dr. Charles said, we are not released, we are constantly flowing into this fluidity of life, allowing life to move through, to be at the highest level of consciousness, and to bring it on to the universal flow of life. Knowing this, I am so, so grateful to everyone being here today. So grateful for this moment in time to take that time, that slice of life, to just bathe myself in this pure consciousness. And I say thank you for your time, thank you for your attention, thank you for your heart, thank you for your life. And I just release this as law, knowing that it is so, as together we all say, and so it is.
So it is.
So it is.
Amen.
Wow.
Thank you,
Bless you,
everybody.
James. Bless you, everyone. John, all of you.
Have a beautiful day, everybody.
Thank you.
Two.
Yay.
When will
Bye.
the recording be available?